Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I am Tanvi Taneja. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. India condemns the violence at Hindu temple in Canada's Brampton, dubs it as acts of violence perpetrated by extremists and separatists. In the final push for votes, Trump promises celebrations post-results at his last rally in Georgia. In Michigan, Harris pledges to end the war in Gaza. Spain dreads more flood deaths as heavy rains forecast again. 7,500 troops deployed in Valencia's flood zone where massive cleanup operation is underway. And legendary American music producer Quincy Jones dies at 91. The acts of violence by separatists at the Hindu Sabha temple in Ontario, Canada, has yet again revealed the severity of extremism in the country. India has called Canada to ensure that all places of worship are protected from such attacks.
India has strongly condemned the recent violence at the Hindu Sabha temple in Brampton, Ontario, which was carried out by extremists and separatists on Sunday. In response, the Indian government is urging Canada to take necessary measures to protect all places of worship and to ensure that those responsible for the violence are prosecuted. The Ministry of External Affairs stated that the intimidation and harassment faced by Indian consular officers will not hinder their outreach efforts. They remain committed to providing services to both Indian and Canadian citizens. The clashes occurred during a consular camp organized in collaboration with Hindu Sabha Mandir, highlighting the need for enhanced security and protection for places of worship. The Indian High Commission in Canada also highlighted similar disruptions during the consular camps held in Vancouver and Surrey on Saturday and Sunday. The incident has sparked widespread outrage both in Canada and abroad. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau condemned the attack, reaffirming the importance of religious freedom. While Canadian opposition leader Pierre Poilievre called the attack as unacceptable, Toronto MP Kevin Vogue also condemned the attack and asserted that Canada has become a safe harbor for radicals and asserted that the country's leaders have failed to protect Hindus. Canadian Member of Parliament Chandra Arya also condemned the attack on the temple, saying that a red line has been crossed by extremists. Local police has arrested 3 in connection with the incident and are being criminally charged for their actions. The recent attack adds to a string of similar incidents documented in recent years, underscoring a distressing trend of religious intolerance. Bureau Report, DD India.
So, Canadian Member of Parliament Chandra Arya also said that a red line has been crossed with such violent brazen attacks on Hindus in Canada, and this highlights the rise of brazen violent extremism in the country. And for more on this, we are now joined by Meghna Dev. Meghna, why is that the Canadian authorities are repeatedly failing to ensure proper security arrangements and thus allowing violence by anti-India elements, as has now happened at Brampton?
Yes, absolutely. And very importantly, India has said that the strict action must be taken against those anti-India elements who are behind this violent incidents at Brampton and at outside the Hindu Sabha temple in Brampton. What we also definitely see is that this was a consular camp which was organized, and number of people from the Indian diaspora were there. And it's not only that, but also it's the season of Diwali. And, the festival of Diwali, a number of people also go and visit the temple at this point of time. What we definitely see is that this time around, while there was a lack of proper security at the place, Canada has not been able to take strict action against such people who probably, if we see time and again, create violence or are anti-India elements. What we definitely also see is that earlier our diplomats have been getting death threats. They have been getting intimidation. Time and again, such instances have not been addressed properly by Canadian authorities. And this time around, also, we do not see that strict action is being taken by the Canadian authorities in this matter.
And seeing its track record, do you see any indication of Canada making any serious attempt to curb such brazen anti-India violence in the future? And what does all of this do to India-Canada ties?
Well, India has time and again said that the behavioral pattern of Canada is of serious concern to bilateral ties. Now that sums it up all, because when we actually see that Canada has time and again probably, it has also been accepted that higher officials from Canada have put out false allegations, or we can say false insinuations, and given it out to international media for maligning India's image, for painting India's image in a bad, probably we can say in a bad light, and that all for political gains. Now that's not only all, but we have been seeing time and again, on the pretext of freedom of speech, freedom of protest, such incidents are being given, are being let go of by the Canadian authorities. So that definitely speaks volumes of how lightly these incidents are taken in Canada, and what kind of threat does Indian nationals have to under which, and the threat that under which Indian nationals are, and obviously the people from the consulate of India in Canada are.
Okay, thank you very much, Meghna Dev, for joining on the show. India's External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, who is in Australia on the first leg of his two-nation tour, inaugurated the Consulate General of India in Brisbane, Australia. The new consulate in Brisbane is India's fourth in Australia, alongside existing consulates in Sydney, Melbourne and Perth. It will contribute to strengthening India's ties with Queensland State, promoting trade, fostering educational linkages and serving the diaspora. Dr. Jaishankar met with Dr. Janet Young, the Governor of Queensland, to discuss enhancing cooperation in trade, economic projects and investments between India and Queensland. Dr. Jaishankar also paid tributes to Mahatma Gandhi at the Roma Street Parklands in Brisbane. He also visited Australia's Humanitarian Logistics Capability HLC warehouse for HADR supplies to the Pacific. HADR has also been an important element of the Quad endeavours. At the 7th session of the International Solar Alliance Assembly in New Delhi's Bharat Mandapam, India was elected the President and France co-President of the International Solar Alliance. Together, they will lead over 120 countries in advancing solar adoption globally. India's Minister of New and Renewable Energy, Prasar Joshi, said that India has reached 90 gigawatts of installed solar capacity in its goal to attain 500 gigawatts of renewable energy capacity by 2030.
The 7th session of the International Solar Alliance kick-started on Monday, uniting over 120 countries and global partners at the Bharat Mandapam in New Delhi. India's Minister of New and Renewable Energy, Prasar Joshi, and President of ISA Assembly opened the session with powerful words, reaffirming the ISA's evolution under Prime Minister Modi's leadership into a vital platform for global solar cooperation.
India is also swiftly advancing its renewable energy capabilities. India's journey is one of the bold vision and the relentless progress. Under India's Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi's leadership, India has set ambitious renewable energy targets and achieved the remarkable milestone along the way. Last month, India reached an impressive 90 gigawatt of installed solar capacity, moving steadily forward towards its broader goal of 500 gigawatt of renewable energy capacity by 2030.
With 120 members and signatory countries on board, the International Solar Alliance is now a driving force in the global transition to clean energy. In this inaugural session, dignitaries and delegates from every corner of the world come together with a shared vision to improve energy access, boost energy security, and fast-track the clean energy transition. The goal to harness the sun's limitless energy for sustainable development across the regions with limited access to reliable power. Solar energy is poised to be a game changer in the battle against climate change. And now, under the leadership of India and co-presidency of France, the ISA Assembly will explore pathways to rapidly expand solar energy adoption. Together, the world's leaders will chart a course towards a cleaner, brighter and more sustainable future for all. International Solar Alliance illuminating the path to a global solar revolution. With Personal Yogesh, this is Tapush Bhattacharya for DD India from Delhi.
India and France were elected as president and co-president of the International Solar Alliance for 2024 to 2026, marking a new era of leadership in global solar adoption. DD India's Tapush Bhattacharya has more.
India and France to lead global solar revolution as International Solar Alliance president and co-president, aiming for $1 trillion investment by 2030. Over the next 3 days, discussion will focus on strategies to accelerate solar deployment, particularly in regions with limited energy access. Here are the 10 major takeaways from the opening day session of the International Solar Alliance. India and France elected. India took the president role unopposed, while France won the co-president position over Grenada. Leadership vision. India and France will guide 120 ISA members to advance global solar energy adoption, prioritizing sustainable development, mini-grids and solar healthcare solutions. New vice presidents. The Assembly elected 8 vice presidents representing Ghana, Seychelles, Australia, Sri Lanka, Germany, Italy, Grenada and Suriname across ISA's 4 regions. New Director General. Ashish Khanna was appointed Director General Designate, set to assume office in March 2025, succeeding Dr. Ajay Mathur. Demonstrations projects. International Solar Alliance expanded its solar demonstration projects in least developed countries and small island developing states, dedicating 11 new projects. Star Sea Initiative. Partnering with France, International Solar Alliance launched the Solar Technology Application Resource Centers in 7 countries to train skilled solar workforce. Viability Gap Funding. The Viability Gap Funding Scheme offers 10 to 35% grants for solar projects in least developed countries and small island developing states with an annual budget of $1.5 million. Gender Inclusions. The Solar for She initiative aims to involve more women in solar programs, promoting gender equality. Strategic Investment Goal. International Solar Alliance aims to mobilize $1 trillion in solar investment by 2030 through its 1000 strategy. Capacity Building Commitment. International Solar Alliance continues to enhance solar training and support for member nations to accelerate sustainable solar growth globally. Tapush Bhattacharya's report, TD India.
A major road accident occurred on Monday in Almora district of India's Uttarakhand, where a passenger bus fell into a 200 feet deep gorge. Officials say there were at least 40 passengers aboard when it went out of control, out of which at least 35 were killed. The seriously injured people have been airlifted to AIIMS, Rishikesh and Sushila Tiwari Hospital, Haldwani for better treatment. Uttarakhand Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami announced that his government will provide assistance of 4 lakh rupees each to the families of the deceased and 1 lakh each for the injured. Along with this, Dhami directed the Commissioner Kumaon Division of Uttarakhand to conduct a magisterial inquiry into the incident.
सभी घायलों को तत्काल स्वास्थ्य सुविधाएं मिले, उपचार मिले, उसके लिए सभी एम्बुलेंस इत्यादि की व्यवस्था तत्काल वहां पर की जा रही है। सभी को भेजा गया है, सभी अफसरों को मौके पर जाने के निर्देश दिए हैं और इस पूरी घटना के लिए कुमाऊं कमिश्नर को मजिस्ट्रियल जांच के आदेश दिए हैं।
American Allison Transmission recently announced the expansion of its manufacturing facility in India's southern state of Chennai, in the backdrop of which US Ambassador to India Eric Garcetti visited Allison Transmission in Indiana. to hear about the expansion plans. He said that the investment will not only boost the production of fully automatic transmissions, meeting growing global demand, but also strengthen India-US collaboration for global good. Still to come on this edition of DD India Live. EU Chief Joseph Borrell meets his South Korean counterpart amid growing concerns in Seoul over the dispatch of North Korean troops to Russia. Maya Sandu claims victory in a closely fought Moldovan presidential election. And record-breaking air pollution levels hit Pakistan's second-largest city, Lahore.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I am Tanvi Taneja. Now we get you the latest on the US presidential polls 2024 as the race for the White House nears the finish line. American voters will face a clear choice for president on election day between Democratic Vice President Kamala Harris and Republican Donald Trump. In the final push for votes, Trump focused on immigration at his last rally in Georgia on Sunday. Harris, meanwhile, was in Michigan making a pitch to Christians and Arab Americans. The big question is, will America get its first woman president or a second Donald Trump term?
The US presidential election is all set for an epic showdown. Donald Trump and Kamala Harris ramp up their campaigns in critical swing states. With less than 36 hours until polls open on Tuesday, both candidates are in an all-out push to sway the final undecided voters. In recent rallies, Trump has zeroed in on the economy and job reports, betting that these issues will resonate and lead him to victory over Harris. Rallying in Georgia, the Republican candidate promised a fun time ahead.
It's going to be party time. It's going to be party time. So with your vote on Tuesday, we're going to fire Kamala and we are going to save America. We will cut your taxes, end inflation, slash your prices, raise your wages, and bring thousands of factories back to America and back to the good old state of Georgia.
Meanwhile, Democrat Kamala Harris made her closing pitch in Michigan, where she committed to working towards an end to the conflict in Gaza. She also warned voters not to be swayed by Trump's tactics surrounding election fraud claims.
I would ask, in particular, people who have not yet voted, to not fall for his tactic, which I think includes suggesting to people that if they vote, their vote won't matter. Suggesting to people that somehow the integrity of our voting system is not intact so that they don't vote. And again, I think that it is a tactic. It is meant to distract from the fact that we have and support free and fair elections in our country.
Across the swing states, the competition between Republicans and Democrats remains razor thin. In Iowa, a new poll shows Harris pulling ahead of Trump, but another survey suggests that Republican nominee still holds favor in many other key battlegrounds. Supporters are deeply divided as both campaigns continue their final push.
What he stands for, his platform, stands for religious liberty, for life, for morality. Where I see the other side, he's more pro-America, definitely, and he sees the threat that our country's facing, and he wants to stop that and return America back to where our foundation has been laid.
We're just excited to go out and vote. We're excited to be a part of getting the first woman in office in the White House.
As election day nears, security measures around the White House are being bolstered. With concerns of potential unrest, law enforcement across the capital and several states are on a high alert. This year's presidential race is coming down to the wire, with an unprecedented number of swing states too close to call. Over 77.6 million people have already cast their votes early, roughly half the total ballots in 2020, underscoring the intense public interest in this election. Tripti Tripathi reporting for DD India.
Shifting to Moldova, where pro-Western incumbent President Maya Sandu has won a second term in a pivotal presidential runoff against a Russia-friendly opponent. According to the Central Electoral Commission, Sandu had 55% of the vote, with almost 99% of the votes counted in the second round. Her competitor, the former Prosecutor General Alexander Stoyanoglu, was polling at just over 45%. On Sunday, Moldovans voted in a runoff election, which was seen as a critical indicator of whether the country's long-term geopolitical alignment would be with Russia or Europe. Speaking at the headquarters of her Action and Solidarity Party in the capital, Chisinau, Sandu said her priority in the coming years would be to be a president for all Moldovans.
Moldova, you have stepped into the future. Dear Moldovans, I am grateful to each of you who came to vote. I have heard your voice, both those who supported me and those who voted for Mr. Stoyanoglu. I commit to being the president for all of you.
On to updates related to tensions in the Korean Peninsula. The United Nations Security Council is set to convene an emergency meeting on Monday to address North Korea's recent intercontinental ballistic missile test, which Pyongyang claims was successful. This move has sparked widespread concern, with UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres strongly condemning the action as a clear breach of Security Council resolutions. North Korea has been under UN sanctions since 2006, with measures steadily intensifying to curb the nation's nuclear and ballistic missile development programs. Record-breaking air pollution levels were seen in Pakistan's second largest city, Lahore. It has left residents urging the government to adopt stricter long-term solutions. In response, authorities have issued a host of emergency measures, including work-from-home mandates and the closure of primary schools. The city held the top spot on a real-time list of the world's most polluted cities on Sunday. Spain has deployed 7,500 troops to its flood-stricken eastern region as frustration mounts over the government's response to a disaster that has claimed at least 217 lives so far. On Monday, rescuers searched submerged garages for bodies following a chaotic scene the previous day where angry crowds hurled mud at Spain's king. Parts of northeastern Catalonia remain on high alert for more torrential rain. Over the weekend, 5,000 troops were sent to assist with essential relief efforts, including distributing food and water, clearing debris and safeguarding shops and properties from looters. Another 2,500 soldiers are set to join them. American record producer and music legend Quincy Jones is no more. He died at the age of 91 at his home in Los Angeles, California on Sunday. With a career spanning 65 years, he has worked with music giants like Michael Jackson, Frank Sinatra, Will Smith and others. Diptanshu Kashyap reports.
Quincy Jones stands as a towering figure in American music. A trumpeter, band leader, arranger, composer, producer, and a multiple Grammy Award winner. His influence has shaped decades of music, collaborating with iconic artists like Count Basie and Frank Sinatra, and redefining pop music through his groundbreaking work with Michael Jackson.
He's been nominated for 79 Grammys and won 27. He is one of, I think, 20 EGOT winners in the world. That's the holy quadrant of awards, for anybody who doesn't know, the Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony. And oh yeah, he also produced the biggest selling album of all time and the biggest selling single of all time. So, no big deal.
Born on 14th of March 1933 in Chicago, Jones became known for his relentless work ethic and his exceptional talent for navigating the egos of artists. He not only shaped the sounds of jazz legends like Miles Davis, but also produced timeless classics for Frank Sinatra. In 1985, he united a star-studded lineup for We Are the World, a charity single that became a global phenomenon.
It couldn't be any better than this. And in 1 year to get promoted to Commander of the Legion of Honor, and this, I'm ready to go to heaven.
Jones shared friendships with many of the 20th century's most celebrated figures. He was also a prolific movie score composer, co-producing the film The Color Purple and the beloved 1990s TV series The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, which launched Will Smith's career.
Absolutely. And that's it. You get the feedback of what the other people that do the same thing you do. And sometimes it's hard because they're doing it with different genres, and people have a hard time seeing through those barriers, But for the most part, it's just saying, hey, here's what my peers think of me, and that's pretty strong.
As U2 frontman Bono aptly stated, Quincy Jones was undeniably a cool person. His remarkable legacy, marked by groundbreaking collaborations, innovative productions, and countless accolades, will forever resonate in the world of music. Diptanshu Kashyap's report for DD India.
That's all for this edition of DD India Live. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. Connect with us on our different social media handles, and also for those on the go, you can catch all the latest news and updates from India and the world on our DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. So we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Tanvi Taneja from all of us here in New Delhi. Thank you for watching. Namaskar.